There we go. Hello, and welcome to Command Protocols Podcast, special edition. This is I always forget the name of it. Overcoming opponents, because we've trademarked our own Know Thy Enemy. I've got
Beautiful.
Vik in the studio today. We're going to be talking about Eldar.
Yes, man.
Eldar has made a bit of a resurgence. Vik, if you don't know who he is, he's played for Team England for many years, quite a few years, right? But he's taking a break this year. He runs Fireside Podcast, so obviously I'm sure people will know that over our podcast, but if you don't know it, then go check it out. It's very good. I'm subscribed.
Thank you.
And I always watch all the videos. So yeah, first question.
Oh, we're straight in, Matt.
Straight in.
Hello,
yeah,
Matt.
Hello, Vik.
Can I give you a little compliment, Matt, before we carry on? You know what? I am so impressed with how you guys have come on with this podcast. I've really been enjoying listening to some of your episodes, and I can see little details. Look at this little command protocols in the corner. Yeah, you guys are stepping up the audio quality a little bit. I'm really enjoying it. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we have some slaves that that make our thingies for free, a logo. It's just one of my friends that does a bit of art. I do appreciate him.
Yeah,
he's a good dude.
That's you awoken them from the tomb world to come make some graphics for
you. yeah. So we're getting there slowly. I do need another. This is a new camera, but it's Amazon's cheap kind of thing, so we will be stepping up the quality eventually. But yes, it's good to have you on.
Cheers.
How's your week been? We'll go into the questions in a minute, but how's your week been?
Yeah, been really good. I mean, I've been trying to play with post Ynnari Eldar quite a bit at the moment, and I went to an RTT, and then I went to a GT last weekend.
Yes, you did. Yeah,
won all the games, won the tournament, so it's all going well with some slightly different kind of concepts of Eldar, and
yes,
they're looking good in the meta. So it'll be interesting to see how they do in singles, which is still where there are some bad matchups here, which I feel like we're going to talk about a bad matchup for most of this episode, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it. That's the way we've got to make Necrons look good. We've had a bit of a dwindling win rate recently. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had low 40s win rate. But it's probably just due to the meta at the moment. I think for us, there's some bullies out there that are really strong. But Eldar is one of those factions that it really depends on the build if I'm going to have trouble with it, and it really depends on my build. But we'll be going into all of that. So overall, how do you think that the matchup goes for you? Do you think it's more favored to you most of the time, or is it really build dependent? Or
even there's a lot of times I've built my list and actively in my head I've thought, what if I play against 20 Necron warriors? What if I play against 6 Wraiths? What am I adding in my list so that I can play that game a little bit better? And you know what happens? I add that unit to my list. I open up the pairings, and quietly in the back of my mind, it's like, gosh, I hope this isn't Necrons. And I know that the Necron player on the other side is going to open up that pairings and be like, oh, I wouldn't mind playing some Eldar right now. And that kind of tells you everything you need to know about this and where the matchup kind of sits. So, to answer your question, I would say that, you can bring tools for the Necron game, and you do always have to sacrifice something in your list to do that. And I think the metas where you're actually dealing with a number of different units that are relevant in the meta is it's quite nice to tech for Necrons a little bit. I don't think necessarily that's the meta we're in at the moment. What would you say?
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, a lot of people are running Wraiths. Every other list I see, we do reviews every week of lists that have done well. I would say a strong 70% of the lists that do well is essentially Richard Siegler's flavour of double Wraith, Star Shatter. Everybody runs Wraiths. I really don't like them. It's just not my style. I think they're good. They are good, but it's just not my style. And so the Warriors version is kind of out of place. It's against what everyone's building for now. When Death Guard book came out, I dropped the Warriors immediately. I was like, this just gets absolutely dumpstered on by Death Guard. It's horrible to play into because you just don't do enough damage for the amount of units they've got.
Got it.
But now that Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights are out and Death Guard are dwindling, or they're changing their builds to build against that, Necron warriors have kind of slowly crept back in. And then you can do a bit of a skew because I think warriors do deal with knights all right. So, and then Eldar fall into the trap of, they're building these fire dragon units that come out of the wave serpent, but that just doesn't do anything into me. So the Hawks is probably the main thing, but we will talk about that later. But yeah, I think as you said, when I see my phone, I see Eldar. Even when it was Ynnari, I was like, I don't even need to shoot you. I don't need to interact with you whatsoever with some of my lists. I love it. I mean, I played in the German Super Major against the German coach for WTC, and that was a harder game than I thought it was going to be. But obviously, he's very good, and even with the Warriors, it still felt really tough. But then you flip the coin, and you've got Windrider host, and then I hate my life, and I can't play into that.
Yeah,
so
it's a true stat check, isn't it? I mean, it depends on what build, obviously, that we're talking about. But I'd say most of the prevalent builds at the moment are going to be Awakened Dynasty or Star Shatter.
Definitely.
And that's kind of leaning into having some Wraiths or having some Necron Warriors, or maybe Awakened runs the Wraiths as well. But regardless of what it is, there is a stat check element to these lists, which I think is a little different to the Hypercrypt lists. Or maybe not, depending on if you're on UKTC or not. There is a little bit of a vehicle stat check there. And some armies are just going to have the tools to deal with it. For example, this Hypercrypt list, I think, actually would suffer a lot in this meta. If it had arrived in this meta, because these big things, everyone is teching for them. But I completely agree with you. People are not teching for necessarily dealing with 20 Awakened Dynasty warriors.
Yeah, we've got a lot of flavor, which I love. I think your like list building just naturally can fall into having a lot of tools anyway. I think Ynnari was just good all round. But then, you just take the Hawks and you're just like, yeah, I can just play into anything because of these mortal wounds, and that is a big problem. And again, it's the kind of Necrons don't really like spearhead the meta. They just fall into place. They just have like a build and then it just slots perfectly in, I always find. So, you've got more. Your answer to Warriors, I would say, is Hawks. That's like that everyone's taking anyway, and the mortal wounds. But because T-Suns are so popular, I'm taking a Spider, but I wouldn't take that normally.
I understand.
So it's so like rock paper scissors. I find a lot with that.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is that actually the current lists that I have for Eldar feel more comfortable into Necrons than my Ynnari lists felt previously. And there's something about being, for example, I played against Awakened Dynasty quite recently at that RTT, and they had the 20 Necron Warriors in it, but only one unit of 20 Necron Warriors. The big weakness I always felt for Awakened Dynasty is that, they've got all of these survivability tricks, but actually the movement tricks are only core game movement tricks where you take casualties in a certain way and reanimate them in a certain way. And the rest of the army is pretty straightforward in your face. You kind of know where it's going and what it's doing. And the damage output from those elements of the army, from actually all the elements of the army, is a little mediocre. It's not the scariest thing in the world.
Yeah.
So in that game, I felt that I could almost just completely send my whole army into these 20 Necron Warriors. And I had to kill them twice over, but perfectly fine. The Swooping Hawk Mortal Wounds go in at a stage when they can't use their Resurrection Protocol things. And then you take a big chunk out of them. They don't fully resurrect. You actually really struggle to one-tap that brick on the shooting phase with one Swooping Hawk unit. But you take a big chunk out of them, get them down to 2-3 models after everything's said and done. And then they resurrect, 8-10 models or something.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just go in with the second stage, and you kind of eventually get through them if you have your whole army able to activate, which
Yeah.
these Eldar lists are able to do in a way that Ynnari is not able to do, because they're significantly faster than the Ynnari lists were.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good question to bring up. What detachment were you playing? Because obviously I haven't really rolled it out. I'd like to know the likelihood, like what you think of the Hawks, because when I think about it, and obviously I get told, the way I play warriors is obviously I string them out like really, really thin
Yep.
over multiple objectives, and then I measure like how far you can go, and then the angles you can get. Because obviously to set up the crit fives, you need like Likif, Likif,
Yes,
and
yeah,
then
like us, yeah.
you do the mortals as well. So you need line of sight, you need Likif to shoot, then you need the hawk to shoot. And I find that it's not always guaranteed because of how quick you are, but you can engineer it in a way where when Likif shoots, I'll just go to ground and then just take 6 up invuns and just kill all of my models to pull out a line of sight.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, like, has that happened to you before? Did it, like, when you played against the Warriors, did you just get close enough forward as well, and then when the Hawks did shoot, did you feel like it was kind of guaranteed?
Yeah, so what I would say is, because also you're doing kind of mortal wounds in the movement phase as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for the Necron player to drag their models out. But these units are extremely fast. Lycus, can move 27 inches in
Yeah,
Warhost. And the Swooping Hawks, they can advance and do everything. So in Warhost, they're moving 17 with an advance. That's usually enough to kind of get into the most concentrated area of the Necron warriors with your Swooping Hawks. And for the rest of the army, you just go in. You don't even think about how much you're going to get hit back. You put your entire army in the best possible line of sight they can get behind your ruins. And that probably gives you the best chance to kill a warrior brick. There's a good chance actually that the damage is so extreme if you go for the full combo like that you can actually spill over and start killing a second Necron warrior brick as well here. And interestingly, the wave serpent with the fire dragons is so fast that with star engines you can often get into a position where you can shoot the ghost arc very easily. The ghost arc is the vulnerable bit of this particular thing.
Definitely. Yeah. It's horrible.
All of this warrants the Eldar player having to do an all-in turn to be able to do this. And I love what you said about stringing stuff out, because these are the things an Eldar player doesn't want to see. Someone who has measured my maximum threat range and put the bulk of their unit all hidden outside of it in a little ruin in the corner and strung out super thinly to other objectives. Now, it may not completely work. The sequence may still work that the Eldar player is able to shoot it, but at least make them sweat when you're doing it. And I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely the placement of the models that is make or break there. I think for Warriors, I've said it many times, but it's really a game of, if your opponent makes a mistake, like, can you capitalize on it? Like, I've played a lot of games where your opponent leaves something in combat that you probably should have just pulled out of, or they heroic or charge or activate, or like. So do you ever feel like, if you get to, I mean, you can kind of kill the Warriors, as you said, like enough back, but once you get tagged and stuff, and you start I start taking your object, because obviously they're very good at the primary denial. Do you ever find it's like that is a way, like a thing that kind of you kind of worry about when you're so close, or like if the hit back's going to be enough? Because I know there's a lot of, because if you kind of like mess up killing the Warriors, hopefully there'll be some kind of hit back with
100%.
the Necrons. So do you ever like think, is it a bit of a risk, would you say? So say if somebody, would you only do it if you were asked to push, or would you just kind of in a team, environment, or would your natural line just be to go and kill, or would it be to just kind of keep it close, not do anything, and then if they overstep, punish, like with low risk? What would you say?
Yeah, really interesting. And I mean, we mentioned this comment that the last thing the Eldar player wants to see is someone who's really strung out really thinly forward from safe positions. I think what the Necron player doesn't want to see is then the Eldar player being, okay, I'm just going to primary deny a bit and I'm going to try and kill everything else in your army here.
Yeah, that is a problem.
What you want the Eldar player to do is like suboptimally commit into the Necron warriors, not quite kill them, half of them come back, and the Eldar army has done nothing. Or in fact, it doesn't even have to be an Eldar army. Any army has just not actually achieved anything with it. That's when Awakened Dynasty absolutely crushes its opponent, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to come down. I mean, it's a tricky one. It's such a controlling defensive list, this Awakened Dynasty list, that as long as you get all of your positioning absolutely perfect, you have a terrain format that favors you playing that extremely defensive play, I think what you really need against Eldar is 2 turns where they have no good choices except for primary denying you or trying to engage with the warriors and not really having anything else they can engage with in a correct way. But I do feel that is a little bit terrain dependent. I don't know what you think, Matt.
Yeah, I played it on GW, UKTC, and WTC. UKT is definitely the best for warriors because the buildings are so close to the center and next to the objectives. So they'll only ever really get one activation before you can just pull behind a wall, and a very safe wall, especially because it's 1 inch blocking. But GW I think is really bad for them because
Interesting.
the distance between your like home ruin and the center of the board, there's nothing in the way. So if you're against a fast gun like Eldar, they can always reach and see like the point of which you're next to the ghost arc. Like you can always see that unit, and I found that even against Death Guard, like an army like Death Guard, the drones were just able to move across the board and see like right down into the middle so fast. And WTC is pretty good, I think, overall. I think it's probably one of the better ones. It's just the main thing I look for when I see a board is where I can hide my ghost arcs, essentially. Like, I need it somewhere that's not right at the back because I don't want to like hang my characters back, because when you make the string even like too thin, then once you lose a couple of models, you have to start putting them in places to retain coherency. So I think terrain is so, especially against Eldar because of the fast gun aspect. Like what would you say for terrain?
Yeah, I think I mean, that point about terrain is important in both directions, both for the Eldar player and for the Necron player. UKTC is really interesting because I do think actually UKTC now, for the very fast Eldar lists, they're able to, for the first time, actually penetrate through the middle of the board into the terrain pieces that the opponent's hiding in a way that the lists have just not been doing before. I had a game where I applied about 1,500 of my points into an Emperor's Children army that was staged in the midboard, and the entire Emperor's Children army was tabled in 2 turns. So UKTC can be a little unsafe for midboard staging and a little vulnerable, which kind of forces the Necron player to maybe be a little further back than they want to be.
Yeah, when I said what I said, the first thing that popped into my mind to counter what I said was that the Crucible map is incredibly open on the sides, and the sweeping one is pretty bad for it as well. Once you can get behind that like flat piece and just see into that ruin, it is trouble.
Now, what interests me is actually the Star Shatter list and how that might do into Eldar. This isn't one that I played, but what do you think, Matt? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So I have not played Star Shatter that much recently, but I've been playing it to help Team England practice because in our pod we've got 18 Wraith Star Shatter, which is just soul crushing to play.
Oh God!
Yeah, and I think like the Silent King is just good into Eldar because it's indirect, I suppose. I mean, he just does chip damage. He's a 2-up save guy with -1 damage. The Fire Dragons are the main thing you've got to watch out for.
The fire dragons can't be
And
everywhere.
yeah, you've got so many vehicles, little units running around. I mean, when you're doing like the double wraith brick, again, you can't really force overcommitment because they just pull away or can reactive move away, like most of your stuff. I mean, for me personally, I'm taking a spider in like every list now, so it kind of helps you a bit deal with the hawks, so it's not completely devastating.
Yeah, I love that.
But yeah, when you're playing like 18 wraiths, I can imagine it's going to be difficult for Eldar to kind of deal with that as well because it is a bit tougher, and they're all 3 up save, 5 up feel no pain guys.
Yep.
That you don't really chew through that quick. I think the Howling Banshees actually are all right because of the anti infantry, right? Like they're okay, but if you can get enough into them, I think they're good. But
The
it's just
output
you're faster.
profiles are good into rates relatively compared to Necron
Mm.
Warriors. But I kind of in my head when I see that Star Shatter game and how it plays out, I think a good Necron player, if they do, stage intelligently with the rates, it applies a bit of pressure because if you want to use, let's say, the fire dragons are probably your single best tool for killing the wraiths. You go in, you put Lycus or you use sustained hits, use a few tokens to flip, and suddenly you're making the opponent take all of these 4-up invulns, and every one they fail is making a wraith take a huge amount of damage. That's a good way to kill it, but you can't deal with all 18 wraiths in that way. And the second the Wave Serpent goes into a certain area, if you then have Doomsday Arcs or whatever looking at that position, you can put a lot of pressure on the Eldar player where they feel they have no good choices on where to go to attack you properly. In a way
Yeah,
that I don't think the Awakened Dynasty list applies as much pressure on the Eldar
yeah. The
player.
Awakened Dynasty has a lot of weaknesses when it comes to actual output. I always describe it as we kind of just throw pocket change at people. Like, it's just a bunch of lethal nonsense. Like this guy has a 4-shot gun. These guys have like little guns, but Starshot has like real consistent damage, and it's got the strats and the speed as well, which Awakened doesn't have. I think the Silent King is just really good in the matchup. Like the indirect's just really nice. I mean, you're on 3 up saves, I think, anyway. But and we've got the stalkers. I've tried the Triox stalkers. If you've there's like crab looking things.
Yeah.
Like they're all right because they've got a flamer, so they force you to use no Overwatch token on a guy. It's like a
Yeah.
12 wound 4-up invuln tank that's still annoying to kill.
Yeah, they can be a pain.
Yeah, and I think just the OC of Necrons in general, like we're a high OC army, so it does make primary denial a bit more difficult. And the Wraiths and also do have the speed to kind of just like go forward, I think, as well.
Now, there are 2 different archetypes of Eldar which are played at the moment, Matt. One is the one we've kind of been discussing, and probably what you see at WTC a lot, which is this kind of aggressive, swooping hawk heavy kind of list. A lot of the lists look very similar, using some Phoenix Lords and the 10 Fire Dragons coming out of a Wave Serpent. But there's a completely different type of build, which is played particularly on Seer Council, and another detachment called Guardian Battle Host, which are both excellent, but they play a much more slow, controlling
Yes,
style.
I love Seer Council. That's the only detachment I've played as Eldar.
Nice, yeah. And in those detachments, the unit combination that you'll often see is a unit of guardians with between 3 to 5 warlocks
Yeah.
and a Farseer or Eldrad inside of it. And that unit actually has the output with a little bit of synergy to kill one of these Necron warrior bricks, or take a good chunk out of some rates as well. So that army style, I think, is actually pretty good and decent into both types of Necrons. You've played Seer
Yeah.
Council. What do you think?
Yeah, so Seer Council has that really good Battle Shock strat that is a nightmare to play into as
Yeah.
warriors. If you're not running the barge, you can just crush because we have an unbattle shock ability once per
Oh.
game from the Royal Wardens, but it's at the top of the phase, so you can just do the battle shock us. It's something definitely to watch out for, and also I played against it as well. So I played as it and against it. You just have 10 Dark Reapers, 10 whatever. just teleporting and shooting from 36 away, and then just low knopping as well. Yeah, it's got a lot of tricks. It's got a lot more movement. It can just kill off, as you say, the rest of the stuff and just dance around the warriors, or it can like find angles into Star Shatter and shoot stuff where you can't shoot it back, because especially on UKTC with those long firing lanes, and also it allows the fire dragons to be picked up and put down and just shoot into whatever they want essentially, because we are quite low on screens. When you start running 12, 18 wraiths, you get very low on screens very quickly, and so you're kind of just having to brunt force with the front of your army, with the main tanky things which you can deal with. So I think it's what I always find, an Eldar player always knows how to find that stupid line of that. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna see this claw and be safe from behind this building. And every Eldar player's got this ingrained in their mind. Like I play against them every time. I'm like, wow, like how have I not seen this? And like, yeah, I could have seen this a mile off. Like, I'm gonna move these warp spiders 24 inches and shoot down this one line, so you can only overwatch me with one flamer or something.
You know what it is?
It just happens all the time.
The mischievous elves that we are, we see it when you're in your movement phase. We see it, and we spent the whole turn salivating over this little claw that's sticking out. Just waiting for a moment.
I was like, I look at myself, I'm like, God damn. So that's why it's so important in the game, where you have to just be so meticulous against Eldar, and because of their speed, you're like, oh yeah, they can just move this far, but you'll get caught out by it if you're not paying attention to it. I think obviously you mentioned in your last video, one of the last ones, where the Hawks in mass are not going to be common in singles, which is probably decent for us overall. And I'm glad that nobody plays Wind Rider Host, because that is also a nightmare to play into. And even for Star Shatter, I played the other week at Leeds GT. I played Phalanx, right, and it wasn't a good list. I was just taking the Tesseract Vault because that's, in my opinion, Eldar's worst nightmare.
I hate
the
that
Vault.
thing.
Yeah, I bet you do. Like, it's not fun to play against. That is a brain off piece of a model, because you just push it forward. And I was only playing it for -1 damage. And I've got indirect, like elves hate indirect. And now that Ynnari aren't a thing, and I can actually shoot you, like, it's a massive help, because that will just kill all your MSU units
100%.
so fast.
I lost against a Vault and Silent King at a tournament with Ynnari.
Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah, you were at that tournament.
Yeah, I was at the tournament. It was one of our viewers. Josh.
Yeah, beautifully played, and the Vault was brutal.
Oh yeah, it is horrible. So what, like, if we're to bring a unit, obviously we've kind of covered warriors and wraiths, but outside of those two, what would you say is like one of the number one worst things that you could see a Necron player bring outside of those two units to the table, where you're like, I really just don't want to play against this?
Yeah, I mean, in Awakened Dynasty has a lot of these units, to be honest, because you have the stratagem for your character to get back up. The little bit of skirmishing that you can do with Illuminoceras or a Scorpec Lord, I think both of those models are really tough for Eldar to deal with. The Fire Dragons don't get reroll anything against those targets as well, so they can be a little awkward to actually get through the whole unit. We have to overcommit quite excessively, and in the back of our minds, we know this model is getting back up, so we almost have to ignore them unless they're really away on their own. So what I would say is, instead of using those two pieces as skirmishing pieces, I would be really scared if they came in with the bulk of your army. Both of them, including the Scorpec Lord. I think I always see the Scorpec Lord doing a solo mission.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I know everyone loves it, but
I just shove them forward as quick as possible, both of them. Like, they're just so annoying to deal with. And they kill elves amazingly. The Scorpec Lords are perfect into
Yeah,
Eldar.
with the mortal wounds as well.
Yeah,
Really, really good.
they're so nice.
Absolutely. I would also say another thing that's quite important with the non-hypercrypt lists is making sure that you abuse reserves a little bit. You want to be a little
Mm,
careful with Eldar because they're going to have a go turn, half of the list that you play against, a go turn where they end up screening you out quite aggressively. But if you put a little bit in reserves, it does force the Eldar player to screen a little bit more than they want to.
yeah. So we have this unit called Ophidians, which we are known on this channel for slating because it's
Okay.
an uppy downy unit, but they die like paper and they can't stay in reserve. So we always shit on them. But
Mm,
I've played them in a tournament and I played them incorrectly on stream, which was
mhm.
amazing because that's just what you want. After you like shit talk a unit, you just throw it away on stream. But the other games it did okay. And to be honest, if I had the spare points, I think it is also good into Eldar because just again forcing the screens,
Mm,
especially on these these armies like say Choose, where it does have a lot of units, but
mhm,
they all have to do something
mm,
frontline.
mhm,
And you can't just sticky the backfield like Liam's list
mhm,
and leave it. Like it does force your opponent to also not use their units.
mhm.
So yeah, I would agree with you that screening units are good.
One other thing I see a lot of these Awakened Dynasty lists run is a unit of flayed ones.
Love
Very,
flayed
very,
one.
very common. And one thing I never see people do because they have infiltrate is actually put those guys in strategic reserves. That
Hmm.
is an Eldar's worst nightmare because the flayed one unit does instantly shred anything it touches
It
in the
does.
Eldar army. And just having that as a rapid ingress threat suddenly puts a lot of pressure on the Eldar player because that flayed one unit is an extremely cheap unit for you guys.
Hmm.
And you don't want to probably include more than one of those, maybe two.
Yeah, I think two on UKTC, like
Mm,
or even two now. The infiltrate is just stronger than ever with these bloody Imperial Knights, where
mm,
I use the infiltrate to stop them towing in on a building turn one.
lovely. Yep.
That's usually what I use them for. They're so good. They're
Mm,
so good into
yep.
Eldar. So good. Yeah, I've never really put them. I mean, maybe one time I've put a squad in reserves because as a faction, Necrons really struggle to reach the midboard turn one
Hmm. Hmm.
to do actions because on Crucible of Battle, the objectives are like 8.2 away or something,
Mm,
but most of our units move 8 inches.
mm,
So we can't actually reach them. So we can't do cleanse and stuff. So the flayed ones like let you do area
mm,
denial and stuff,
yep.
cleanse.
Mm,
But I think they're the only real the two now, or homers, I guess.
yep. Yep.
Um, yeah. So it's a good idea to be fair, putting them in
You
there.
could
But
try it to apply a bit of pressure against a good Eldar player. It
yeah,
can make them do some moves at a time when they don't want to do those moves,
mm,
which is maybe all you need just to get the little bit of advantage to
yeah, I
see the
think
game
so.
out.
No, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Um,
Actually, we might have
there's
to try
also
that.
a really interesting one on UKTC with the position that Swooping Hawks can deploy.
Hmm.
They actually can't deploy very forward in any of the maps. I mean, maybe on Crucible they could deploy in a slightly forward area, but then you're sacrificing a very precious small forward area for the Swooping
Hmm.
Hawks when you probably want, Lycus there, your Autarch Wayleaper, your Wave Serpent, everything in that little space. So the Swooping Hawks often end up a little further back. Um, that actually gives you a little bit of room to be a little bit more aggressive in how you move forward on turn one. Because without the Swooping Hawks activating correctly into, say, Necron Warriors, the Eldar player is going to be a little careful about even engaging you at all, which
Hmm.
just buys you one extra turn of momentum in the early game. So I think you can be a little less cautious against Eldar on turn one, potentially. Uh,
Yeah. It's a shame because of the way that the meta is at the moment. I'm a very aggressive player,
oh, yeah, yeah.
especially with the Warriors. You know, I always say that you have to roll a 4 up with the Warriors on most maps because you don't make it to the objective
Oh, no, really?
otherwise.
Oh,
Yeah, so when you
no.
advance, you have to just pray for 4 up, or you just
Yeah.
send your Fiona Payne characters. But then that just invites being your stuff being stolen.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Oh, so they don't actually reach the objective. I don't know why I thought they
yeah,
auto advance six for some reason.
they can with a certain character in there. The Overlord lets you auto advance 6, but I just prefer the Royal Warden because he
Fall
unbattle
back.
shocks and the fallback. The fallback
Hmm.
shoot and charge will just win you a game with
Yeah.
before. Me getting to the point turn 1, I'm not that bothered, especially now because of challenger cards, which is what I was saying, that getting ahead early feels rough. It feels the Eldar player is happy to just give away, stop you or not deny the point if they keep their units, because then that go turn is so horrible, which is why
so true.
Yeah, I just shove. I'm a bit more cautious with the warriors or the wraiths in Star Shatter or whatever early on, and I'm very in that kind of matchup. I push the DDAs forward first. That's the thing because that's the thing that I'll try, but it's very difficult to stop this Fire Dragon unit from getting Melter into it. But I like to put, because they're not super good in the matchup, especially when you're running a lot of infantry. I'll just push them out. I do the same against GSC because they're just rubbish. They don't do anything, so they're just a fast screening unit where I like to push them forward first. And now that people are playing Aspect Host and War Host, it's not as good because you can get back in your transports. But before it would force you to, send something to deal with this. And it's OC5 as well, which is a real annoyance. So I can steal points off you and stuff. That's how I like to play that, and then keep the warriors back for the late game. The DDAs go forward, then the wraiths of the warriors later on. Once you've started using all your units and we're trading all the other units, these units are the ones that are going to be laying the hurt, because you can't. I'm just going to take the primary over essentially. That's for the late game.
And now that you mentioned challenger cards, because obviously this is a relatively new thing. Played a lot of games without challenger cards and a small handful, 8 games with challenger cards now. And actually, I feel like challenger cards really encourage armies that can just straight up kill your opponent. I feel like the game is not very well suited to a point scoring control-y kind of army at the moment, which is maybe where Awakened Dynasty kind of sit at the moment.
Yeah, I think both. Everybody's playing stat check-esque primary holds, right? I think Andy is really the only person that actually just goes, yeah, I'm building full damage Star Shatter. He doesn't play any Wraiths.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't really. I mean, his thought process, because everybody's building to beat them, he's not going to play them. So, and then I just don't really like them that much anyway. I think once you start, the problem with Race for me is once you start losing a couple, you feel like it's a pointless unit. But yeah, the challenger cards would actually favor Hypercrypt kind of army, because that's what that did.
Correct.
That literally just gave up primary early, denied where it could, and then just killed your opponent. But that list is completely dead because it's so expensive and everybody wants to kill big stuff. So it's kind of just a game of, okay, well, I've got to kind of blunt the armies. And Eldar do a lot of damage, and it is always super risky. I think for singles, though, taking more than 20 warriors is really risky as well, because you will just lose into some builds.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like you play against Thousand Suns or something.
Thousand Suns is very swingy. It's because if you've got the spider, obviously it helps a lot. But if Magnus gets tagged, it's just game over. If Magnus gets tagged, it's pretty much just game over. Or if you just give me a unit and give me too much movement one time, if anything can kind of go wrong. I played into it against this French guy for the Try Hard Wargaming 5v5 that we're doing. So I'm on one of the Fireside teams.
Cool.
I'm with Captain of Israel, a bunch of other dudes. But yeah, it's really, really fun. We're doing it as a community with the Fireside guys.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I played into Thousand Suns, and he just made one mistake where he let me charge hit one of his units, and I got a big charge. So I know, because I'm strung out, I got to swing all the way around into Magnus.
Nice.
And that was it. He just didn't move for the rest of the game. And then T-Suns can't fall back and do anything. So, and their volume the vortex speeds are a pain. Like, they are a big pain,
Mhm.
but their volume obviously comes from shooting, and if you're kind of new to that, then it's a big problem. Which is the same thing I kind of tried to do against Eldar, but they're so hard to catch because they're so much faster.
Yep.
And yeah, stopping the people getting back into the transports, it is a big problem, because when one of your activations will probably kill one of mine, like your fire dragons into my DDA, it doesn't really matter. It's just all about the getting lucky. It's like that's why I don't
Roll
mind
those
pushing the
4-ups.
DDAs up. Yeah, because they don't do anything. The DDAs don't do anything, so I just push them up, and then it's like, I want you to come at me with something, and the fire dragons, and hopefully I can punish back, but sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just with that, I mean, the fire dragon is an interesting one because it's quite powerful to measure the potential melter range they can get.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it
it's
is very
very
hard.
very hard to stay out of range of them altogether. When they have Fuego in the unit, it's an 18-inch unit moving out of a transport really
Yeah.
fast. But staying out of 9 of that movement is a little bit more feasible, and it's usually enough to dissuade you from using the fire dragons for that situation, because it goes from, for example, trying to kill a DDA, you need like 3 shots in melter, and you can maybe even kill it in 2 shots going through in melter range,
Yeah.
to needing between 5 to 7,
Mhm.
at D6 damage to go to try and kill the
Yeah,
DDA.
the main thing I try to do is, because it's so hard to like get out of that melter range. I try and get you in a spot where you need to overextend with the wave serpent, in a place where I can hit it back.
That's it.
Essentially, you either cut an angle where you have to pull it far forward, so then when you get out, or obviously a big trick is, you put it behind a building, you get out. So if I can get out of range of that,
Yeah,
then
beautiful.
it's great. But I think these UKTC boards, like you can't really hide on the edges. I don't think on most of them. I think they're all small ruins now on the objectives on the sides. So it's quite hard to hide that vehicle. Where would you usually put a wave serpent on UKTC?
So I would say, for example, in the Crucible map, and I'll give you kind of your direct counter to
Yeah.
allow you to go a bit further forward. On the Crucible map, there's like a nice big ruin at the edge of your deployment zone, and a little kind of 2-inch ruin that you can go through. And the key spot that the fire dragons want to attack is the wave serpent goes directly behind your ruin, and they disembark into it. But if you have any kind of infiltrate that can just block out that space where you'd want to disembark, it actually puts the Eldar player with a bit of a question mark on being able to do a turn 1 push at all. So that's also a good way of dealing with the fire dragons here. So yeah, look, 1 unit of flayed ones just block out the edge of your ruin, and then suddenly you can't disembark into it.
So do the flayed ones like block the middle of the where the objective is, or do they do it on the inside of the wall so you can't come through the wall? Is that what you mean?
Exactly. So on the inside,
Okay.
your side of the wall, so where
Yeah.
they're safe a little bit.
So you can't come through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I played on that. I've only actually played one tournament, UKTC, which was Leeds, and I played Tyranids on that map. So even then, the gun that I could only put my vault in one spot, and it was just getting shot every turn by
Yeah.
a bloody big gun. What are they called? The Tyrannofex. Oh god.
As it should be, Matt. As it
Yeah,
should be.
yeah. I mean, I shouldn't have played it. It was it was just a bit of fun, but
Yeah.
yeah, you have to. It's really hard to hide against those fast guns where you're trying to stage it, but that's everything now. It's big knights,
They're
that the
really
bloke
fast.
drones. Yeah, it's. I've looked at what they can do on some of the boards on WTC, and it is just bonkers.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I mentioned way back, just being able to use flayed ones don't try and use them to sit passively on an objective. Try and use your flayed ones to stop like the placement of where your models can go. Definitely, like it is a bit, which is why I encourage running more than one squad, because it's so important to stop. Like necrons, I always find need that first turn to reposition further up the midboard in the safe areas with all their stuff, and because I don't mind going first, to be honest, at all. I mean, the game naturally wants you to go second with all the scoring, but I'm fine just going first, getting some good positioning up the board, because Necrons are just super slow, and playing against stuff that's faster than us is always an issue. Which is why I think people kind of naturally shift to Star Shatter, because it is faster. It's got more tricks. It's faster. The Wraiths are really good, and they're actually quite good into Death Guard as well.
Oh, interesting.
Just sometimes it doesn't take that much for the Death Shroud to just kind of get blunted up, by the Wraiths. Like, they can kind of protect your other stuff. And Eldar, I always find, is a big problem because we can't do that. Like, we can't frontline with these units because your units are so good into ours for frontlining.
I mean, 18 rates is quite scary for Eldar, to be honest,
definitely.
because like you mentioned about, if you lose 2 or 3 rates, it feels like the unit does nothing. But against Eldar, it still does a lot. You only need a couple of rates to do to kill a unit. So, so maybe if you are trying to build to deal with Eldar and Death Guard, maybe Star Shatter are ticking the boxes a little bit more. Maybe it's even better into Knights.
Yeah, it's so difficult to say. I think probably that's why everybody's going it. I mean, we started this episode and we were like, "Oh, really want to play against Eldar," but now it's slowly shifted to, wait a minute. Eldar do have answers, but it's good that we've kind of gone through this shift in conversation, because I think it's good to kind of understand what you want to do, because obviously you've explained like the things you look to do first turn and so on, and then it kind of I'm thinking about, okay, what can I do? And maybe you might not have done that thing, and it avoids you getting caught out.
100%, yeah.
What, like, if you were to say, like, obviously this is cheeky saying right now, but if Necrons were to have something buffed and something nerfed,
why are you doing this to me,
what
Matt?
would your 2 choices be? And it might be a bit of an out of the blue question, but I just like to punish everyone that
He's just punishing me.
interviewing.
He's putting my soul in a prison. I could feel it. Oh gosh.
Because obviously nerfed is easier to answer because it's something you hate playing against.
Well, you know what? Necrons. Necrons are a weird one because it's really awkward to buff an army where everything is annoying. Like, as someone who doesn't play Necrons, like, I'm trying to look for a unit that wouldn't be annoying to get buffed here.
I hate playing against Necrons.
And I'm thinking, okay, how about these Triarch Stalkers or those Command Barges? And I'm like, those guys are annoying as well. Like,
so cheap.
Is there something that isn't annoying that's in there? And I'm immediately thinking of guys with like swords and spears and stuff.
Yeah, anything without an invuln, they're not annoying.
But like those Lich Guard guys still have their bloody shields, don't
they? Have an invuln. They have an invuln.
They do. But
yeah,
I mean, those Praetorians, the Lich Guard.
I think the Praetorians are probably a bit too expensive. For nerfs, I don't agree that Wraith should have been reduced in points. I'm gonna just say it. I don't think they should have been. I think it was a bit weird that they were. They were still good before.
Yeah, yep.
They're still good now.
Do you have any units which would be like really meta shifting for Necrons, like the way they design their lists, if they did become viable? Or is it still going to fit in the archetypes you have?
Drop DDAs back down to 190 for no reason again, like that. But I think if you made the Catan too cheap, I think that would be that could be a very slippery slope. I mean, everybody's kind of I'm in Necron Discord. I talk all the time. They're like, yeah, Catan needs to be cheaper, or the Void Dragon in particular. But as soon as you start making those units cheap again, I mean, how much were they on release? I think the Nightbringer was 235 points or something on the Codex's release when he had a fee on the pain. You don't want to be making those kind of units too cheap. I think that would definitely break it, because when you take Catan now, and I think Catan are all right, not even into you. I mean, not even into Fire Dragons right now. Catan probably just die as well. But when you start making that stuff too cheap, then I think it swings it far too much.
So I think the Necron design philosophy is a little bit wrong. They've kind of
I
trapped
agree with that.
themselves into a corner a little bit. If I was going to design Necrons again, because actually they sit in a very interesting design space, if you make the army a little bit more of an MSU army, like the Necron warriors don't go above units of 10, the Wraiths don't go above units of 3 or 4, and then you start giving them rules, more favorable points that can allow their survivability to increase, but not to the point that you need extreme damage to deal with these units. I think that's the stage where you have flexibility to get the points and the rules correct on Necrons.
Yeah,
Where
I
they
think
are
so.
now, you're stuck. Like, you can't really buff things because you don't want an army to be too annoying to deal with. Like I mentioned, Lich Guard. If you make those guys too cheap, they are annoying as hell to deal with still.
Yeah.
But
I always say that they're like the worst of the three options, but
Mhm.
they're still good. And people have said, like, just let the Technomancer go with it again. Having a unit that has a 4-up invuln and a 5-up feel no pain is just a nightmare to play into.
that
Like, so,
reanimates.
yeah, as I said, I can't stand playing against Necrons. But I played against Andy at the same tournament that we went to, Battlefield Birmingham, and at first I was really excited because I was like, yeah, my warriors won't die. And then I made one mistake, and he's very good, obviously. Like, Andy is also a very good player that will punish your mistakes. And then I just lost the game on the spot, and I was like, oh shit. And Necrons are like that as well. If your damage just doesn't go through, you feel so like left, like you're like, well, I'm just screwed. And that's what Necrons are kind of all about. And it's, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of looking to play other stuff just to get away from it for a minute.
You
Like,
can't say that on the Necron podcast.
no, I'll always play Necrons. Everybody knows that I love playing other stuff as well. But
Absolutely.
like against Eldar, I think it's the build right now. It's definitely winnable. I think it's just a battle of wits, like between both players. If one person knows what to do more than the other,
Absolutely.
they'll win. And
Yeah.
that's why I think, even though Necrons, as you said, fundamentally seem quite easy to play, because they're how durable they are. Like, you kind of can take away from the skill because of how durable they are. You can do things like Necrons would be 60-70% win rate if they were that easy, because people kind of misjudge. You have to know your opponent's damage perfectly. Like, it's a very, and Eldar right now are in the point where they can kind of just throw dice at you in all the right places, and they can hurt you in all the right places as well because of the speed. So
I think they're both armies that really reward a high level of player skill, even though they don't look like it. I think both of them, it's going to be the player who knows their numbers and their tactics better than the other one, the more skilled player out of the two that's going to win that matchup.
Yeah, there's so many tricks with Necrons that people don't really think about. Outside the obvious ones of, rezzing behind a wall. There's so many things, as I mentioned with the Warriors, I've spoken about it many times, where you can do so many stupid things and bend the rules almost. It feels like it, to get out of dodge, and dying on purpose is one of my favorite ones.
Love it.
Because again, if the Eldar player is kind of half committed, or hasn't committed enough, or overcommits and misplaces something, and you just you just shoot that unit and just pull away.
Yep, go to ground, take
Or
6-ups.
you just take your worst save, or the Wraith gets shot and then the rest of them move out of the way. You have to prepare yourself for all that. I think Eldar's this Fire Dragon unit is a big problem for a lot of things. But again, if that Wave Serpent gets too close to the Warriors and one mistake's made, if there's a Ranger unit, or say Corsairs, because the Rangers can react to move, if the Warriors can touch that unit, and I probably won't try and kill it at all, then I'm just and I get to tag other things.
Yeah,
It can
game over.
start slipping out of your hands so quickly. And obviously Star Shatter doesn't really have that as much, but the Wraith's kind of like a really good late game tool anyway. because you can just kind of, against Eldar, if you just bunker down and refuse to play the game for the first 3 turns and just take your 10s or your 5s, and then you just go out and send everything once you've traded all your little stuff, then it's very
that's
difficult.
Exactly what you want to do is create situations where the Eldar player has to engage suboptimally into you, and then it kind of dissuades them, and then it's too late.
Yeah, it's Eldar love like being able to play reactively to their net positive. If you give them net positive plays, then you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So that's like the main thing you have to look out for, is like what will happen if this unit moves here and does this. Like, can they deny my primary here? Always try and put 6 OC on a point. Like that's one of the main things against Eldar, is always try and put 6 OC on a point, because they very much struggle to take it off you.
Yeah, they have to use one of a small number of units to do that.
Yeah, they have to use quite a few then. Do you think that there's any unit in our book that isn't used that would be good against Eldar that you probably... I mean,
I really like the Tomb Spider, actually. I think that is actually a really solid piece against Eldar. Otherwise, any of your units like which have a high volume of shots, I'm pretty sure there's one particular type of heavy destroyer that has that.
The Emitic destroyers. I was, when Eldar were in their peak, I was running a unit of them that you could pick up and drop down.
Yeah, I'm extremely happy those don't exist in Awakened Dynasty really at the moment, because they are awful against Eldar. Each one of those models kills an Eldar unit.
That is true.
Which is
horrendous. They are very, very good. I mean, just running single ones. The meta's the meta right now for Necrons versus Eldar, I think, is really good for both of us, because you're taking stuff that can just naturally is good into knights, but is also
not
good. Yeah, it can not be good or can be good. It's swingy. And then we're taking stuff that's just always naturally good into all of your units, because we have just so many little shots. But obviously there are some stuff that we're now not taking to play into you. I think what I'm trying to say is that our matchup right now is just kind of completely, there's no strings attached. It's just we are taking 2 armies that are meant to build into 2 separate things that are just happen to play into each other. Like, we're not really building into each other. We're just naturally clash, and then the outcome is whatever the outcome is.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah, we're not building into one another. We're not countering each other deliberately, and like it was before. I mean, I hate playing against Ynnari. God, that was awful. Not being able to shoot. It's just so. Yeah. I mean, I've got enough to say about that.
It's uniquely bad.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrible.
Rest in peace, Ynnari. No, don't even rest in peace. Just rest.
Don't be restored.
Come back next edition.
It's like the first thing I said when I was talking about the new data slate in the Fireside Discord, and somebody was like, "Oh, any news on Eldar?" And I was like, "Yeah, you get to try your other detachments." I was like, all of your detachments are good, pretty much.
So true.
They are still good. Fire Dragons have been nerfed 3 times, I think, now, and they're still so good. Fugin is still amazing. Honestly, the matchup is just up to you.
You're really right on this. If knights disappear from the meta, I actually wouldn't be surprised if Fuegan, the 10 Fire Dragons, and the Wave Serpent disappear. That's a 450 point combination there. You may not see that in the meta anymore. You may see more answers to kill Wraiths and Warriors.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we're kind of just slipping by each other.
We are.
and I might start running a Mythics again. And so
that's it. It's
don't be
full circle.
So what's your next tournament you go into? And I'll be able to change my list.
I've got the Northeast Open, the NEO Open in Newcastle.
Okay.
So nice. I'm gonna do that one this weekend with some form of elves. The list submission is actually only tomorrow. which
wow.
is really
For next
really
week?
close for this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, right. Yeah.
But that's a
Well, that is
100-person
close.
tournament, so
Okay,
it's
nice.
pretty big. But I think
Yeah.
they're waiting for a potential emergency nerf, which has been rumored, but I
Mhm.
have a feeling that's a false
Oh, I have
rumor.
heard about that. Yeah.
So we'll
Are
see.
you doing LGT this year?
Yeah, I
Or
am. I am.
excellent. Yeah.
Y-
Well, I'll
y-
see you there definitely.
Yeah, we'll all be there.
Yeah. I've got allies this weekend.
Oh, good
As I
luck at Element.
mentioned.
Hmm.
Yeah, that should be really good. And then yeah, WTC. Bloody hell.
Good luck for War
Yeah. I mean,
Masters.
I'm just War Master's gonna just vibe on people,
Hmm.
do warrior things, and then just coach basically.
Yeah, for the main
Which for
event.
me is which for me for essentially is to say push and then I drink. So it's like my holiday.
Oh,
That's
you're the best.
WTC.
You're the best at that. So it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I'll be coaching this year. But I'm
Fantastic.
looking forward to. That's why I'm trying to play more factions. You see, so I can get a bit better. Are you thinking of applying, or have you not decided yet for next year?
Next year, we're hoping to have a baby by the end of the year. My wife's pregnant, so that's why I
Congratulations.
didn't apply for
Do it
WTC
this
this
year.
year.
You and
But
David both then.
both of us, yeah, same time, same
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
So it's like we planned it. We were in sync. So
Fireside, we trust.
so
You can pass down the reins to your children in
that's it. But
18 years.
I'm hoping next year I'll be able to apply again. The process is very tough, though, to get into Team England,
It is
and
very tough.
it requires a huge amount of time. So that might be the barrier, really.
Yeah, it's just a big. England's just a
Commitment.
big catalyst
Yeah.
for people.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think we've pretty much covered everything. I don't. Is there anything
Fantastic.
else that you want to touch on, or are you good? Anything you want to promote?
No, well,
Obviously for
I
the
mean,
podcast.
yeah, if anyone listens to this but would like to see some different kinds of content, we do 40K Fireside, which is a podcast, but also video content on YouTube. Just type in 40K Fireside or Fireside Podcast into the YouTube search bar, and you'll be able to see all our content.
Yeah, and joining his Discord as well because it's really good. And I
It's
need to
good.
talk to more people about Necrons because nobody wants to talk to me. So,
Yeah, oh, bless you.
so join it so you can talk to me. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Vic. It's been
Cheers,
amazing.
man.
I
Cheers.
really appreciate you coming on. And
Mhm.
yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you
So
very much.
long.